Subscribe to our YouTube channel for in-depth interviews of India Inc. and press the bell icon so that you do not miss our updates.
Hello and welcome to Nirmal Bang, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Hiral Dadia. We have with us Dhaval Ajmera, Director at Ajmera Realty and Infra, joining in. Welcome to the show, Dhaval, and always a pleasure to speak to you. Dhaval, overall, if you go to see with regards to where infrastructure and real estate was concerned, the first wave did have a real impact when we had the migrants who went back. There was a shortage with regards to labor, logistics was an issue. How would you actually describe FY21 with regards and impact?
Okay. Firstly, just let me thank you, Hiral and Nirmal Bang team for inviting me for the webinar. It's been great to have interactions with you. I would say, the first and the second wave were fundamentally two different things. Reason being, the first wave had like nobody honestly knew what things were in process, what is going to happen. Everyone were clueless and things were suddenly stopped.
Hmm.
Whereas second wave, people were, prepared. They knew the second wave is going to come, but how far, how fast, how much quick, obviously nobody could capture it. But at least some preparations were there. The government also, from the first learnings or experience, came out that certain essential services were on, like at least for, let's say, construction. The construction sites were on, they were not stopped. So things were rolling, things were churning. However, the sales had been seen a very big downfall over the last 2 months, that is April and May, because obviously because of lockdown people could not move, and real estate is a very touch and feel thing. You cannot, like, just probably see online and book things or have things. You need to feel, you need to look around, you need to see everything. So obviously things were very different, but I would say the second wave people were prepared, obviously, and from the first wave, the experience was that there was a good pent up demand which came up, and then it saw a good rise with also pertaining to the lowering of interest rates, and especially if I look at in Maharashtra, the stamp duty waiver, that these two really helped sales move up once the lockdown lifted last year. Hopefully this year also, now in June, we are seeing as the unlocking is starting, things should start moving up and seeing how we can take this up. So, but we are hopeful, real estate has overall good demand and probably will take
Hmm.
it forward.
Right. And overall, FY21 in terms of numbers seems to be way better than what we did in FY20 as well. What's the reason for that? Do you think it was mainly pent up demand in the last two quarters? Or do you think this kind of trend is something that could continue?
So I would take this as two-way things. First one would be that at least post this pandemic, people realized the importance of home. They got and they valued that home is very, very important as an asset class, and not just to have something which is on lease or rent or whatever, but we need to really retain a home for ourselves, if God willing, or probably hoping that these things don't come up. But if there is a lockdown again like this, there is nothing better than what you have yourself as your own home. That was point number one. Secondly, obviously, over the last many years, there were a lot of issues which came up in real estate. Maybe demonetization, RERA, GST. Obviously, some were for good, some were for whatever. But overall, if I look at it, these were the hurdles which came up in the real estate sector, the ILFS problems which came up. So that all created a lot of confusion among the buyers, and they always thought that the prices will still go lower, where developers will have some stress, they will lower the price and they will have to sell. And they, even though if I want to buy a flat, but there was so much of negativity coming up that now prices will go low, prices will go low. So that's why not too much really sales happened. I mean, obviously it happened, but not at the pace. However, when the pandemic hit, people realize that this is the last nail in the coffin. You cannot have anything, because this is like once in 100 years, everything is gone down. You cannot have any prices lower than that. And that was thankfully a realization from the public at large. And along with this pent up demand, they really started coming up and inquiring about the projects and all of that. And with that, what happened was that the government supported it with lower interest rates. And as I said, in Maharashtra, the government supported with reduction of stamp duty. So that gave it a real push for them to take a quick and a fast decision. And that's how we saw great numbers last year.
Right. But are you expecting this kind of trend to continue in FY22 as well?
So, what has been our experience, and I see in FY22, obviously the last 2 months being very slow, but overall we see the demand still being there. Real estate is looking positive. Wherever we have seen in the last, 6, 7 days or 10 days, once things have opened up and people have done some pre-launches, they have seen good demand, and good sales have happened in those pre-launches. People have booked, then sales have been encouraging. So that means we are overall seeing real estate coming back, and people are really very serious about buying this time. And I foresee that real estate would be the next big thing, at least for the next 2 to 3 years or 5 years per se, because demand for home has become a very serious thought in everyone's mind.
Right. And overall, on the cost front as well, uh, taking that the migrants had gone back, they've come back. A lot of companies have said that they have paid higher, costs have increased. Again, you have metal prices which are going up, commodity prices which are increasing. How is that impacting business?
Yes. See, we are in a catch-22 situation sometimes. People have commitments in terms of banks, in terms of customers. And whereas last year, what has happened is, with the migrant laborers moving out, there was a lot of shortage of labor. And, many companies, including ourselves, wherever we really required them to be there, we had to bring them there at whatever cost, maybe 2 times, maybe 3 times, maybe four, whatever. But it was the need of the hour, and we need to have fulfill our commitments and finish. So we need to do it. However, after that, over the last 6 months, what we have seen, the input costs have gone up drastically, and that is now going to affect the the pricing factor. Because there may be a certain threshold any developer will be willing to take, and you take. But today, if you go to see the metal price, the copper price, the steel price, everything has gone so high that it's like every contracts of ours today have been under renegotiation, because for them also they cannot, because their input costs have gone high, so it's not affordable to them. For us, so indirectly it is making our cost higher. Adding to that is the GST, which is only, there is no reversible ITC available for real estate, so that increases the cost even more in real estate. I mean, in GST point of view, with the incremental cost and GST, overall we are seeing, at least depending on the project to project, but on an average, I would say 15 to 20% hike in the construction cost. And definitely this is going to have the effect. Maybe while some may absorb it and close the chapter if they are at the fag end of it, but if there is a new project which is starting, definitely the prices, as compared to what it was or as expected, it's going to become higher. So we will have to live with it unless and until this input costs go down, which we are hopeful probably once things really start normalizing, and everything is back to normal with the 100% production capacity. I think those should come down, but let's just hope this happens.
Right. And Dhaval, overall, a lot of surveys, a lot of reports are indicating right now that the second wave has had a deeper impact with regards to where real estate is concerned. Number one. Number two, with regards to increase in costs, there is a possibility that, prices will go up. And taking that into consideration, a lot of home buyers will postpone their purchases. So if you have to look at May and June right now so far, how has the sales trend, how has the inquiry trend been for Ajmera?
So if I look at, there is no two doubt. Recently, we also, as a CREDAI national body, did a survey with so many developers all across India, and they have seen an impact in the operations and sales over the last 2 months, and the second wave being hitting. And it is going to happen, and it was bound to happen, because although construction at site at labors were there, we would do, but there were challenges of material being,
Hmm.
material supply being challenged, where probably some places where construction was with steel, and like a steel construction, oxygen was a necessity, oxygen supplies were not there. So obviously these were challenges which were possible available, I mean, which were there during these last 2 months. And as I told you, the inquiries had been very, very slow. Sales had been very, very slow. Although inquiries were there, people genuinely, seriously was discussing things, but they have not made transactions in the last 2 months. But we are hopeful that these inquiries will convert into sales by this quarter, like June, July, August, when the festive season starts, vaccination drive isn't complete. Mentally, what we also see is this time the second wave has hit the consumer at large, and every one of us at large, somewhere or the other, personally also. So like
Hmm.
probably last year the wave was there, it hit people, but it wasn't that serious or that severe that somebody of our relatives or near or dear ones, somebody somewhere directly, indirectly, may have lost lives as much as they lost lives this year. So like if you
Right.
see that has mentally affected a lot to people. And with that affection, I mean, with that those decision powers become psychologically slow. And so that is why it would take a while for them to recover and come up. But we are seeing slowly movements happening. But definitely this second wave, in those reasons, have impacted the real estate industry.
Right. So overall, with all of this currently for Ajmera, which regions in terms of geographies you're seeing higher traction, and what's the kind of ready to move in inventory we are sitting on?
So we as Ajmeras, primarily, just to give you a small
Hmm.
brief, we last year, the pandemic for our company had been on a positive side, because just before the lockdown, one of our prime project, like the flagship project Ajmera Island at Wadala, had received, and one of the buildings had received a occupation certificate. So it was a ready to move in inventory. And with that, we saw a lot of what do you call demand coming in for the ready to move in inventory over the last 1 year on the pandemic. And we also saw that with that happening, our sales, which was at around 300, 350 level crore levels last a year before that, during the pandemic year, it jumped up to 80% higher. So we went to about 650 odd crore, 15 odd crores. So this was the jump which we saw last year for the sales in our company. With that moving across, we are seeing that with that positive momentum, we launched three new projects last year during the last quarter of 2021. That is January end, and we saw good amount of sales in from that also. So overall, we are seeing great positive momentum and ready to move in stocks. If you ask us, we have as I was telling you, the we have stock worth of about 200 odd crores which are yet to be sold, but 100 and about 150 odd crores which sales have already happened, and the revenues will be recognized this year. And with the kind of demand and everything which is going on, I think from this numbers of 200 were probably in April of this year, and in now we are seeing in the next 2 to 3 quarters, probably we would be able to finish off all this. So definitely ready to move in inquiries and demand is higher than under construction, and that was proven. And this was primarily on like the ticket size, if I have to say, it is about 5 crores plus or 6 crores
Hmm.
plus ticket size. So those ticket size saw a great demand, were ready to move in, and this gave us a great boost last year.
Right. So 2021 as well, any new projects that you would be looking to launch, will the plan be on track, or do you think you will shelve taking the current situation into consideration?
No, we are absolutely on track. Like I said, last year, January 2021, I mean, this year, January 2021, we launched three projects, and we saw good traction of sales for
Hmm.
last on those three projects as well. We sold about 20 odd percent by March when we launched in January. And so just in 2 months, we sold about 20% of our stock. And this year we are launching 4 new projects, about 1.5 odd million square feet, two in Bombay, one in Bangalore, one in Pune. And overall, the ticket size of this is about 2,000 odd crores, which will be recognized over the next 3 to 4 years time. But we are on track and we are very confident about this, and we will definitely launch this year.
Right. And overall, with regards to why the proposed demerger of the 6.5 acre of commercial undertaking projects at Ajmera Island Bhakti Park is concerned, what's the update on that one? I think because the last what I heard was it was pending NCLT approvals.
Yes. So we have followed the process and we have done applied for the demerger, and it's on the last leg now. It's pending the NCLT approval. The whole idea is that what we see Wadala as a very upcoming destination, for the city of, and a very prime and a prominent area for the city of Mumbai. So giving you an example, probably Wadala is the only destination in the suburbs of Mumbai which has all the infrastructure connectivities possible. So be it railway, be it monorail, be it metro, be it freeway, be it the new Shivri Nava Sheva link road, everything, plus the BKC connector, and all of that has, so definitely government has a lot to offer at Wadala than probably at any other suburbs. And that is why they are now going to see a second BKC coming up, and they are planning a second BKC in Wadala. So definitely we see a great future for commercial premises in that location. And then when we have one of our strategic location, one of our properties which is very, very prime and strategic location. So we thought that, we would like to make this as an asset for a long term, which can, generate revenues and be a rent yielding asset. So we are looking out for partners who are also having this vision for long term, and then probably develop it together and make this as a value add to the entire project and the destination.
Right. And what's the kind of timelines we are looking at, and what's the kind of investments we will see?
See, it's a overall 3 million square feet of project, and overall investment would be around 3,000 odd crores. So it's not very. We are currently under talks with few. So once things materialize and finalize, we would probably reveal more details. But I think once things are there, then that's when we will start construction.
Right. And overall, Dhaval, with regards to Bahrain, I think we've shelved that project. London is ongoing. Again, what's the kind of timeline and what's the kind of cash flows we are looking at from that side?
Bahrain, we just exited this year in March, and what we are seeing is that all our investments which we had done post the construction or starting of the construction, that has been recovered, and what we have now left is the residual, the land cost and the profits, which we will see incurring to us over the next 2 years time. So the cash flows from Bahrain should start coming between second year from now and third year, like then. As far as London are concerned, we have 4 projects which are currently under execution, and those 4 projects are almost ready. And the market in London is such that when you have a ready building, or normally the projects are being sold once it is ready. So we are now ready, and luckily for us is that now the people, things have opened up in London as well, in UK. So we are seeing good traction and inquiries picking up. So by this year, probably 50-60% of the revenue should start coming and balance by next year. So we would see great numbers coming this year from that also.
Right. And overall, in terms of FY22, what's the kind of growth that we are looking at? Any milestones that we're looking to cross in terms of sales value, or even in terms of total square feet?
Well, overall, our target is to, from our FY20 levels of our revenue, we plan to at least be 1.3 to 1.4 times of FY 2021. And as far as so that's what our growth plan look and target is. So with the existing launches which we did, and with the new launches, and plus so basically our whole genesis is that as I was telling you, the stock which is already sold and yet to be sold in Wadala itself is going to be about 300 odd crores. And we've already so that will be about 1x of my actual revenue recognition last year. So Vadala itself will probably give me that. And plus, beyond that, what we see is the new projects which have launched and the new launches which will happen, that will add on to the factor. So our target is on a conservative side, at least 1.3 to 1.4x from what we are today.
Right. And FY21 also, lastly, we saw significant amount of debt reduction. And obviously, yes, we were supported with good amount of cash flows. Do you think we will be able to reduce that quantum of debt in FY22 as well, or do you think it will be slightly lower?
Well, our target is almost definitely same as much as what we did. But you see, what happens is this real estate is like a working. You would require working capital. You require the amount of premiums and everything which you require to pay upfront. So I may reduce my like maybe my old debt, but there will be something new for my new project which I will secure. So if I look at an overall perspective, probably I will be at the same levels, but somewhere I have reduced my old debt, but there is a new debt which is started on the new project. So that's how it's going to be.
So at least on the debt to equity, we are at a comfortable level, right?
Yeah. So currently also we are at 1.1. So we plan to go down, and our target is to at least be at 0.8, trying to be at 0.8 by this year and see how we can reduce further.
Right. All right, Dhaval. Thank you so much to speak to Nirmal Bang. Always a pleasure to speak to you and have you on the show. I hope you enjoyed the conversation as well. Thank you. Stay safe.
And thank you, Hiral. Pleasure talking to you. Stay safe. Take care.